My daughter told me, Dad, you're going to be on the Pillaging podcast. I said, whoa, I like that name.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com. That's PJ4F.com. The only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week wherever podcasts are found. Call in and leave a message to be played on air at 408-909-PJFF. This episode brought to you by Creative Media Design Studio. Check them out at CreativeMediaMonterey.com. Yo, it's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. What's good, Ken?
Oh, the draft is over, my friends.
The draft is over.
The draft is over, and we are here to recap that draft.
Could use a nice draft in the studio right now.
Yeah, it's a little warm in here.
It is very warm in here.
Get a little bit sweaty up in here.
Sweaty.
It's getting a little sweaty up in here.
Sweaty balls. So let's get right into it. We got a lot to cover. Last week, as you guys know, we covered round one of the NFL draft. It was day one of the NFL draft at that time. So now we're going to go back and wrap up day two and day three. But first of all, quick hits. We got a couple other tidbits for you too. So right off the bat,
You the real MVP.
Derek Johnson is in the building.
Yes, he is.
He's also 35 years old.
And 13 seasons in.
That's it. You know, he's actually been quite productive, and we're going to talk about his numbers when Austin Gayle gets in here. But this seems kind of like some people are saying it's a leverage play to get Bowman back in the building. Mm-hmm. I don't think it is. I think they're looking for a vet linebacker. I'm now having the gut feeling that Bowman's not coming back, and maybe Derek Johnson is more of a plan B than it is a leverage play.
Right.
So what? I mean, would you be happy about bringing Derek Johnson in on this team?
I mean, like you said, he's been very productive. He's had 13 seasons under his belt. He's 35. Obviously, we'd like him to be younger.
Yeah.
But if he could come in and be productive still at the age of 35, then it's all good, man. You know, I think everybody was hoping that Bowman would come back, and maybe that's still a possibility. Mm-hmm. We liked his veteran leadership, but if you can get another veteran to provide that for you, that's also a decent linebacker, then I think that's a plus for us, man.
I would say so. Bruce Irvin ranked 85 in the top 100 in the NFL.
Yes, he was. He didn't rank last season, man.
He didn't, but he's got some stats.
He does. Yeah, I got some stats for you, okay? How about 22 sacks over 4 seasons?
Okay.
Okay, how about 14 tackles for loss in 2017? Okay, that's last season.
Take that.
Okay, and how about leading the league with 10 forced fumbles over the last 2 seasons?
And quite a bit of those came in 2016, to be fair.
Yeah, but he still got in there, man. He still got in there. He was still ripping.
It's productivity.
That's it, man. That's what we like to see.
So salute to you, Bruce Irvin, quickly becoming one of my favorite Raiders. Definitely got that Raider mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Not afraid to let it show on Twitter. So we love you, Bruce.
On top of that, too, I like what he said about the young guy coming in, about Key coming in and taking him under his wing, trying to show him the ropes and keep him out of trouble and show him the right path. I like that. I like that.
So Josh right now is in the YouTube chat. He says he wouldn't mind Derek on a vet minimum. And I'd say that's probably about the going rate right now for somebody like Derek. Maybe slightly above, but definitely not going to overpay for a player that's 35 years old. So
and that was released.
Yeah.
Right? They just basically said, we're not going to re-sign you.
So they took Reggie's son, and we're going to take Derek.
Yeah.
Apparently. Well, we'll see. He's in the building today, so if they get a deal done, I'm sure we'll hear something about that tomorrow. So let's recap day 2 and 3. We're going to do it kind of quickly. We're going to be touching on this stuff again with Austin Gayle. We're going to be touching on some of it also in the second half of the show.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. We're recording right now. We're experiencing some pops and stuff. I got a new sound interface. I don't know if that's the reason why. But if you're listening on playback and the pops are still there, I do apologize.
Yes.
I know we had some last week. We're going to get those worked out. Just bear with us. As you know, we are standard bearer of podcast quality in Raider Nation, so we won't stand for that much longer. But there's not much we can do right now. We're up against the time limit, so we're going to let that run, and please bear with us. Do not attempt to adjust your radio.
No.
We have taken over. So first off, round 2, Raiders drafted a small school standout from Sam Houston State, P.J. Hall.
Yes.
Tallied 14 block kicks in his collegiate career. That's pretty astounding.
Pretty good, man.
Racked up 60 tackles, 19 of which were for a loss, and 6 pass breakups, 6 sacks, and 4 blocked kicks in his last year.
Yeah.
So where did this guy come from? I mean, I didn't hear anything about him leading up to the combine or to the draft.
He came from Sam Houston State.
There you go. Good answer. Very good answer. Yeah, so PJ Hall is a guy that I hadn't heard about, but am now quickly excited about.
Yeah.
He's going to be great in rotation. I don't know. I mean, he'll battle for a starting spot on that line, but with Maurice Hurst now in the fold, which we'll get to, we're probably going to get to in some detail with all the stories that came out this week and, further criticism of his heart condition. But PJ Hall, definitely going to be nice in rotation, having a fresh body in there. Incredible strength on this kid.
Yeah.
They call, what's his name? They call, what's his name? The muscle hamster.
Is that dang? What's that? What's his name?
I don't know.
His name? I'm trying to blank right now. Muscle hamsters. We just got him right.
Yeah,
from Tampa Bay.
That's it. Doug Martin.
There you go.
Yeah, so Doug Martin. Sorry. PJ Hall might be stealing that nickname away. Short guy.
Yeah, he's what, 6'1"? He's about 6'1", right?
Very stout.
Yes, very stout. He's got that very low to the ground, powerful build.
Yeah,
and that's what everybody says, man. The dude's freakishly strong. He's got great press, is what you wouldn't expect for his size, as far as his arm length and that kind of stuff. But he's got great press, great ability to shed blocks.
So, and the thing about him being built low to the ground is that's good for a defensive lineman. You got low leverage coming up underneath these taller offensive linemen. If you've ever wrestled, and you wrestle a shorter guy, you might think, I got this. And they get up inside of you pretty quick.
And then you don't got this.
Then you
got yourself lifted in the air.
And then even in boxing, if you look at a guy like Mike Tyson, who's, obviously an example on the far end of the spectrum, but a shorter guy able to get up underneath your guard and pick you apart like that. So PJ Hall definitely has a size advantage on the opposite end.
There you go.
If that makes sense.
As far as leverage goes, yes.
As far as leverage goes. So what remains to be seen is if his small school productivity can translate into the NFL, but he's got tremendous upside, as do many of these draft picks.
Yes.
Moving on, Brandon Parker, selected in the 3rd round from NC A&T, receives some criticism. Now, some people are saying we reached on Colton Miller, and like I was saying last week, and like John Gruden said himself, big offensive tackles rarely, if ever, hit free agency. The place you got to get him is the NFL draft.
Yep.
So now in hindsight, I think everyone's come around on the Miller pick. The Parker one is what I think is probably the biggest reach for us in this draft.
Yeah.
I see a lot of knocks on Parker. I don't see a lot of positives coming out about him. But hopefully with Cable's input, they could bring him along. They could raise his technique and kind of cure some of those negative spots that come along with Parker. But depth on the offensive tackle, possibly now a very smart pick to go 2 tackles in the first 3 rounds, because you got Penn. Penn had those allegations. They've been dropped. It's kind of weird. He's in the middle of a divorce, but he's still suffering the Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying he looks overweight. He's got some time to get down. But it's not looking good right now for Donald Penn. Obviously, the last 2 seasons, he hasn't remained healthy all season, which is new for him. But then again, it's his age. He's on the downside of his career. So,
it's true.
As you guys know, listening out there, we got a lot of love for Donald Penn, so I'm not trying to knock the guy in any way. I'm not the guy saying that Donald Penn's a bum. There's a lot of you out there saying that. And I'd pump the brakes on that. I think Penn actually did fairly well last year. I went back and looked at the tape after the season. I did a little write-up on him for the Raider Ramble. And I think Penn actually had a really good season. I think, when you look at anything in a microscope, the bad stuff is always glaring. But overall, big picture, Penn had a good season. But now we got the depth. There's a lot of competition there. You got Ware. Alexander now popped for 4 games. But, if he's retained, you got him competing. You got obviously Sharp competing. You got a lot of guys that are going to compete for the tackle position. So at the very, very least, you want competition.
Right.
Like I said on Twitter early in the week, meat cooks quicker under pressure, and the cream always rises to the top.
This is true.
And I think we've brought in 35-plus players now in this offseason.
To do exactly that, man.
Yeah.
To do exactly that.
So there's a lot to choose from.
There is a lot to choose from, and you know what? He's not the. I think that you hit it on the nose as far as he's probably the person with the least upside as far as all the other all the players as far as how we feel about him, right?
Right.
The criticism, taking him where we took him, and him coming from a small school and not really even being rated or ranked in the top offensive lineman.
Yep.
But I think they saw potential, and we've become familiar with Reggie taking on projects around the third round, right? So I think that's exactly what this is you got the size, you got the length, that kind of size and length is ideal for tackles, right? Now let's see if we can make something out of you.
Yeah. Let's go, Parker.
Yep.
Let's go. Raiders moved back in the third round, another trade, and they picked up Arden Key out of LSU, defensive end.
Yes, they did.
Another guy that was rated very high, fell on draft boards basically due to his personality, some off-the-field issues. Where's 99?
Yes, he does.
Is this ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Irvin, I think, tweeted out today that, or he made a comment today, maybe it was an interview that...
It was an interview. Yeah.
Okay, that Key reminds him of Alden Smith.
Yes.
Which is good and bad, right? I mean... Taken out of context, we don't know what he's talking about. We assume he's talking about his talent.
Play. He's talking about his play.
So
he was talking about the length, his length. I think he's 6'6", so he's a big, lanky guy, right?
Yep.
Alden Smith was a big, lanky edge rusher as well, so he's very athletic. I think they said that he put on a little bit of weight, and Gruden made the comment that might have hindered him this past season.
Okay.
Maybe trying a little bit something different about bulking up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Gruden has plans to get him to drop some weight, pick up the speed or something like that. But yeah, and like I said, Irvin said he wants to take him under his wing and he wants to show him, how to go about it the right way. So that sounds good to me, man. Let's encompass this guy with good, positive influences. Get him to stay in the straight and narrow and just be the freak that he was in 2016.
Exactly. I'm glad you touched on that. So Key, he's a hybrid end linebacker. Another guy like Khalil Mack, like Alden Smith, excels in pass rush, struggles a bit in pass coverage, which tells me he's going to be playing with his hand in the dirt mostly. Racked up 12 sacks in his sophomore year before slumping as a junior. In that sophomore year, he netted 56 stops, 19 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles. Terrific inside jab move, superior upper body movement, giving opposing linemen problems. The guy's an athletic stud. Great bend, great lean on the edge. Again, impactful pass rusher at the pro level. Personal discipline is the issue and the main reason why he fell in the draft. 1 year ago, Key was arguably a top 10 talent. Shoulder surgery, finger injury, and again, off-field issues contributed to his fall from grace amongst NFL draft scouts. This is a gamble. Tremendous upside.
Tremendous upside. And I think that's the key word with all of our draft picks. Tremendous upside.
Yep. I'm seeing a theme starting to emerge here. Next up in the fourth round was Nick Nelson out of Wisconsin, selected with the 10th pick in the fourth round. Another example of Raiders getting tremendous value in mid to late rounds. Nelson played for Wisconsin after transferring from Hawaii. So in Hawaii, he played at a really high level. Now, I think the Rainbow Warriors is their team name.
I don't know. I don't think it's there.
It is.
Is it Rainbow Warriors?
Look it up.
I don't know about that one.
The good news is when he transferred into the Big Ten, his productivity stayed the same. It did not drop off. 23 pass breakups in his only year playing with the Badgers. He was named first team All Big Ten after the regular season after being credited with 35 tackles, a block kick, and served as the team's punt returner. Again, another theme, versatility. John Gruden values players that can come in and make impact on offense or defense, but also play special teams. And again, as a rookie, especially as a mid to late rounder, that's where you're going to make your hay. That's where you're going to find your roster spot is on special teams and work your way up. So I really like the Nelson pick. Even after some good corners passed us by in earlier rounds, we come up in the fourth round with a guy that looks like he can make an impact and at least challenge for that nickelback spot at the very least.
Right.
Make special teams. So he's a press corner, which is what we're going to be playing this year. A lot of man and that Paul Gunther scheme. Exceptional work ethic. Again, another trend amongst this year's draft class. John Gruden said at the Combine they're going to put a little Raider sticker next to guys that show the right attitude and the right kind of work ethic. And I think this is what that pick came down to. Nelson had that sticker next to his name. He was there on the board, filled the need. We snatched him up.
I like it.
Again, experience as a punt returner. which is great because we struggled there last year. However, his hands are a bit suspect. He failed to snag a single interception during his college career, but those 23 pass breakups in one season, that's no slouch.
No, not at all.
So
that's nice. You know what, man? As long as the other team, as long as the receiver isn't catching the ball,
yeah,
I'm all right with that, man.
Yeah.
You swine the ball, you're knocking it to the ground, whatever it may be. Maybe you're just batting it up in the air for somebody else to intercept it.
Hello, Carl Joseph.
That's all good with me.
Yes, sir.
That sounds good to me, man.
So the only other couple knocks on this guy are his tackling tendencies. He tends to arm tackle a little bit, which lets receivers get away from him, and tore his meniscus during a private pro day workout, which is a big reason why he fell even further in the draft. So
that's right.
Even worse that it was in a private workout, but it was a partial tear, and he should be fine. He seems to be recovering okay. So that's Nick Nelson.
Yeah.
Next up is Maurice Hurst out of Michigan. So this is the guy I think most Raider fans lost their mind when we picked him.
Yep.
Heart condition aside, everybody knows what kind of stud Hurst can be. So this guy, again, was projected to be first-round talent, fell to the 5th, possibly would have fell further. I mean, there was teams vocally before the draft that were like, we're a pass on Hurst.
There was, I heard a number of teams that had completely taken him off the board because of the heart condition. There's something else that you guys got to keep in mind is that this guy, out of all the players we picked, was rated higher than any other pick we had in this draft.
Yeah.
He's the highest rated pick in this draft. I think he was rated somewhere around 93 or something like that.
Wow.
Versus, our first round pick, he was, I think, rated 86, somewhere around there. So, you know what I mean? So the upside to this guy, is way up there.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that's in question is that heart condition. If it doesn't hinder him, this is probably the steal of this draft. The steal.
Absolutely.
Among all teams.
Absolutely. And the reason why I was rated so high is that jump off the snap. The guy just got a tremendous burst off the snap. He's a perfect fit for what we needed, a 3-technique defensive tackle that can rush the passer and push the middle of the pocket. More and more, P.J. Hall is looking like an insurance pick, even though he came before the Hurst pick. He's rotational, keeping both of those guys fresh, but at the same time, if Hurst doesn't pan out, something does happen, at least you got P.J. Hall, a guy there with upside that can come in and take that spot if Hurst is not healthy. The Raiders are going to push this guy if he can't be cleared. That's life-threatening.
Yes.
But the irregular heartbeat, this could be tremendously dangerous, or it could just be like an anomaly. A lot of people live with that condition, play sports with that condition, do a lot of things with that type of condition, and it's going to continue to be monitored. But as of right now, he's been cleared by Harvard doctors, and if they're clearing him and the Raider staff is clearing him and they've done their due diligence like they've said on other players in the past and it's come out clear, I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm with it too, man.
Yeah.
I'm with it too. And you know what? Like you said, if it was one of those things that was like a hopeless situation, like this guy's, his health is really, really badly in question, I don't think the Raiders take him. Man.
No.
Yeah. So my hope is that he's able to go day one, and that we don't ever have that issue, and then we come out the winners of the draft.
Yeah, I hope the best for both him on a personal level and, of course, us in the win column.
Yes.
Maurice Hurst, man, good luck to you, bro. Next up in the draft, Johnny Townsend out of Florida, a punter here that we took. It's not the first time we've drafted a punter.
Yes.
Finished second in FBS with a 47.5-yard gross average during the regular season, placing 27 punts inside the 20 with 5 touchbacks, forcing 13 fair catches. He was second team All-SEC pick in 2016 as well. After leading the FBS with a 47.9-yard gross average, he forced 18 fair catches and placed 27 kicks inside the 20-yard line against only 7 touchbacks that year. Townsend was a second-team all-conference pick by league coaches as a sophomore. It just goes on and on. It seems like throughout his college career, this guy has been a stud. Biggest knock on Townsend is his lack of hang time, which has led to high yardage punt returns while kicking his coverage. So we got Bisaccia in the building. And if you guys haven't, there's a little clip of Bisaccia going around talking to his team, getting his team fired up for football. That guy cannot be censored. If you haven't watched this video, go hunt it down. It's pretty inspiring. But he's a hard-nosed dude, considered, by many as an elite special teams coach. Obviously, he's worked with John Gruden before. I believe he was on that Super Bowl winning Tampa staff. So if anybody can work on this, it's Bisaccia. So along with him, we picked up their kicker as well, kind of as a tandem there.
And I think that they said something along the lines as using this guy as motivation to bring the kicker.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if you saw the video of this guy kicking an 81-yard field goal, uncontested.
I've not seen this.
But like an 81-yard field goal. He's kicking from like the 30-yard line on the opposite side of the field.
Wow.
And he's kicking it through the uprights.
Bye, Joe.
Yeah, but, I mean, the camera angle, maybe you could question that. It's from his side of the field.
Wow.
But looked like it got through to me. So if this guy has the boot, the strength to kick an 81-yard field goal, I really want to see what he can do.
Absolutely.
In the silver and black.
And I think also he had like a 93% accuracy rating or something like that. So, so that's a good 1-2 combo there on special teams. Again, filling holes, filling needs.
Yes.
Doing great, doing good.
How are you?
Fantastic. Next up is Azim Victor. This is a guy really I know nothing about out of Washington. Victor, apparently a physical hitter, shows an ability to thump tight ends and drop back into space. He's a long shot to make the starting roster, but adds more competition and depth to a linebacking crew that was often injured and inconsistent in the past year and more. Heavy hitter who could become the late round value pick that Gunther is known for developing. So Gunther is he actually went on record saying that he'd rather take value linebackers in the back half of the draft and plug them into a scheme and set them up for success. So I don't know much about Victor, but it's a late round pick. Again, adds more bodies to that linebacking crew, competition, so on, so forth.
That's it, man. Like you said, you want the cream to rise to the top. You got to put something in there to cook it all up. Get that going, man. You want to get that going.
Cooking with grease.
Yeah.
Next up, and lastly, Raiders selected Oklahoma State wide receiver Marcel Aitman with their final pick in the NFL draft. Not a speedster, but the dude is 6'4", pairs very well with Martavis Bryant, who's also, I believe, 6'4", 6'3".
Yeah.
But with speed. Bryant with speed.
Yeah. 4.4. He's running a 4.4, people.
So this guy, he's a replacement to Jones. He's the big body red zone target that we've been lacking on this offense, both him and Bryant. Again, probably not going to make the number 3 spot. I think we're pretty set there with Nelson, Cooper, Bryant, but now we got Switzer and we got Aitman that are going to battle for that 4th spot. And again, just rotation, sub-package guys, situational guys. Aitman going to come in short yardage, could be a good possession wide receiver. He only ran a 4.6 again, but when you got that kind of size, this isn't the guy that we're going to ask to stretch the field. Right. This is the guy we're going to ask to make tough catches.
Right. This is the guy that you use in short yardage situations, right? You need to go. Maybe you're in the red zone. Right, and you need to go high. You want to go throw something over the shoulder of the cornerback. This guy's going to go up and grab that ball.
Yeah,
so that's good. We've had receivers like that in the past. That ain't the fastest guy, but they can make those catches. So that I like it. And we need a change from the other guys that we have on the squad besides our starters, right? So,
yes, yeah.
And Switzer is going to be big on special teams, man. He's well known for returning kicks, so I like that too.
And just a quick side note, since you bring up Switzer again, Cowboys fan pretty upset to be losing Switzer.
Yeah, especially for what they got back.
Yeah, even more upset to be gaining Ward. Not a single person in Raider Nation's too sad about that.
You see Ward? Ward's really hurt that we traded him, bro.
He is, man.
He's like he's talking smack to Raider fans, bro. On like Instagram and Twitter. I'm like, pump your brakes, bro. Like, everybody was waiting and hoping that you would be like something great, and you just never produced.
Ward, 2 words for you. Do something.
Do something, and then you can complain to us about talking shit or whatever it may be. You're not doing anything, bro.
No, not a goddamn thing.
When did you see the field? When did you see the field? I'm talking like actually being on the field, not seeing it from the sidelines. When did you see the field?
Messages to Jihad Ward. Shut the fuck up.
I don't know who that was. But back to Amen really quick.
So exciting.
6'4", add size and strength to it already improved wide receiver roster or core. Using size and strong hands, he earns second team all Big 12 honors, caught 59 passes for 1,156 yards and 8 touchdowns, fits into a West Coast offense as a pro. Big knock on him, I guess, is his speed and then the conference he played in, kind of weak secondaries. But, hey, size, physicality, we need that.
Yeah.
Bring that.
Bring it.
We like it.
Oh, yeah.
You like that?
You like it.
We did it, man. We 25 minutes. We covered all of that. We covered all the picks.
We did. We didn't go too in depth, but don't you worry. We got your boy Austin Gayle coming on, and I'm sure he's going to get real detailed about certain guys, man.
Perfect segue, Che.
Yeah, hell yeah.
At that, it's time to take a break.
It's time.
All right, we'll take a short break. We're coming back with Austin Gayle. Don't go anywhere. We out here.
Peace.
All right, and we're back, and joining us from PFF, Pro Football Focus, is Austin Gayle. Austin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be on.
I should say welcome back to the show. Austin joined us about a month and a half ago, so on, somewhere around there, but we wanted to have him back on to help us break down these draft picks because he's one of the best in the business. And congratulations on being named PFF Analyst of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
You earned the title days after appearing on our show. Coincidence? I think not. So I just wanted to say you're welcome and congratulations.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
But no, definitely a title that you deserve. Big fan of your work. I know Raider Nation's a big fan of your work as well. So let's get right into it. I was going through your Twitter timeline a couple days ago, and you noted that the Raiders went with a gambling approach to the draft. What does your gut instinct tell you about this year's draft class? Are you high on it? Are you in the middle? Are you waiting to see? What if you had to give this the proverbial letter grade, which I think a lot of us kind of despise in the media because we're forced to give them. But if you had to, what would be the overall letter grade for this draft, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The initial reaction, the kind of gut reaction to the draft is, upside. It's a lot of projects, a lot of guys that have low floors, high ceilings that could be this great player that, they have all the potential to be, but could also flop and be, out of the league in the next 2 to 3 years. You look at Maurice Hurst with his heart condition that, you're not sure how long he can play in this league. Arden Key has had issues off the field. He's had issues conveying the football. Colton Miller's a project in terms of technique. PJ Hill, Brandon Parker, it keeps going, the list goes on. And when you see that so when you look at draft, you're trying to get value and you're trying to balance a ratio of high ceiling, low floor prospects with high floor prospects. The Raiders kind of went all in on these low floor, high ceiling prospects, which will either, boom into this outstanding draft that kind of changes, swings this franchise in an upward direction for years to come, or it comes crashing down and the Raiders really take a significant steps backward in terms of their rebuild.
Great answer. Yeah. So let's get a little more specific. If you had to, what's your excuse me, it's allergy season. Hello. Sponsored by Zyrtec. Let's get a little more specific, Austin. What's your favorite pick in this draft?
Oh, my favorite pick, and I think it's easy. It's everyone's favorite pick. It's Maurice Hurst in round 5. You look at this guy. Yeah, you have to talk about medical concerns first. He has that heart condition, but when you look at a 5th-round pick, if this guy comes out and plays his rookie year and plays at an outstanding level, plays as a starter and really changes the game, and then is not able, even if he's not able to play beyond that season, as a 5th-round pick, he's already exceeded expectations and added significant value to this franchise. Most 5th-round picks and beyond have struggled. Look at Ben Heaney, Neron Ball, Max Ballas. Those guys, a lot of these guys don't pan out and ever really produce at a high level for you. So when he's able to slip into the 5th round and you're able to get a guy that has the potential to be an 8-10 year starter and one of the better interior defenders in the league, you take that gamble, even if he's only able to play 1 year for you, 2 years for you, because it just starts to make sense when you get into that 5th round. It was significant value and honestly saved the Raiders draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of question marks in people's heads. And then when we picked Hurst, it was like, there it is. That's the need we wanted to fill. That's the guy we wanted. A lot of disbelief that he fell that far, but also, again, very logical as to why he fell that far. The Raiders aren't scared off by the pick. I know a lot of teams were, but he's been cleared. I mean, hope the best for the guy. And like you said, if this guy can stay healthy, I feel like he's all boom, no bust.
Yep.
So I guess on the other side of that, who is your least favorite pick in this draft? Who is the biggest reach, or maybe even possibly the guy that doesn't make the roster? But I guess your gut feeling, who's your least favorite player in this draft?
So I think there are 2 picks, possibly even 3, that face significant criticisms, and all 3 of them are in the first 3 picks. Colton Miller at 15 overall, they leave significant value on the board, and possibly one of the best defensive player in this draft is Derwin James. Right on the board, and he goes to a division rival 2 picks later. You have to think, just based on value, that they might have missed there. They might have missed their reach for me. And you go in the third round pick, their first third round pick, and that's the first pick of the third round. The first pick of the third round. So a pick removed from the second round, and they select Brandon Parker out of North Carolina A&T, a guy that has, when facing FBS competition, has significantly struggled, earned a sub 40.0 overall grade in the Senior Bowl, allowed 7 total pressures in one-on-ones, 6 total pressures in the game itself, has just notably struggled in that Senior Bowl performance against higher level competition. This is a guy that PFF didn't even have on their top 250 board. Think about that. This is not something that we miss on. We grade the entire Senior Bowl and leave him off the board.
Wow.
It's a guy that is such a significant project, even more so than Colton Miller, who went against FBS competition, had success, but even more so than Colton Miller in that he hasn't played at a high level, against higher competition, and when he did, he struggled significantly. Yes, he's got the size, yes, he's got the speed, but at a certain point, how many Jermaine Effettis are you going to give Tom Cable? How many? You just can't keep doing it. And when he's the first pick of the third round, and you got a guy like Isaiah Oliver slipping that low, you have a lot of valuable players slipping into that top end of the third round. I just don't see the value in that pick. I think the P.J. Hall, compared to Colton Miller and the Brandon Parker pick, isn't as big of a reach. But at that same time, there's other guys on the board in the second round that aren't as big of projects, have higher floors. And when you've already selected a guy like Colton Miller that has a very good chance of being a Tony Mandarich in this league, you'd have to think you complement that pick with a high floor guy like Harold Landry. The guy that was high on everybody's board, and that's who the Titans ended up picking when they traded back with him. You just have to, there are a lot of head scratchers in this draft, and those first 3 picks kind of stand out as the biggest ones.
Yeah.
So now John Gruden had mentioned regarding tackles of that size, outside of ability, that tackles at that size are really hard to get in free agency. Does that soften this pick a little bit for you? Does that make it a little bit more easier to swallow, or is this still the reach at the end of the day?
I'm just not sure if I'm totally on board with tackles of that size. Tackles, just because they're big means they're good.
Right.
We've seen time and time again that smaller offensive tackles have had success, and if you guys want a big offensive tackle to take a project on, they did so in the 7th round out of LSU for Darrell Alexander, and he played well in a reserve role at times. Yes, he struggled, but that's when you take, a flyer on a big, versatile offensive lineman that has upside. Not in the second round, not with the first, or not in the first round at 15 overall with Derwin James on the board, and not with the first pick in the third round when there's Jamarco Jones out of Ohio State, Brian O'Neill out of Pittsburgh, other guys that have proven to have way more success against FBS competition on the board.
Right. So now, considering the Raiders' situation at the tackle position, especially with news coming out about Donald Payne, and I'm not talking about the allegations, just his overall health, his condition, the struggling right tackle spot over the last few years. What's the alternative here for the Oakland Raiders? They went out, they drafted these positions because they needed to. They were kind of forced into a desperate mode. But had they not, what's the alternative? Who do they bring in? Where do they find them? Do they go, again, like you said, late round project, so it's not so much of a gamble, so they don't, they're not stuck with that, first round potential bust. If a 7th round guy busts, it's not as not critiqued as harshly as a first rounder or even a third rounder. What's the alternative there?
So I think the alternatives lie in a lot of the other moves. They signed Bruno Giacomini at a much larger deal than I would have liked on a one-year deal.
Right.
And then a couple weeks later, Cameron Fleming, a swing tackle for the New England Patriots that started deep into the postseason and played at a very high level, signed for about $500K cheaper with the Cowboys to play backup.
Wow.
That's where you signed. You signed Fleming before you signed Giacomini, because if you had faith in Giacomini to start, you wouldn't have overdrafted two offensive tackles. You overpaid Giacomini to just discredit how good he is and want to bench him for a rookie. I don't know. That's a head scratcher in my opinion, just in free agency. And looking at this draft, if they really wanted to add significant value to tackle, maybe they do it when a generational talent, in my opinion, doesn't fall all the way down to 15. I mean, you hear that Reggie McKenzie was kind of banging on the table for Derwin James, and John Gruden was thinking otherwise. Yes, it starts to make sense with Colt Miller on the board if Derwin James is gone, Roquan Smith's gone, other guys that are one of the top defenders in this class.
Yeah.
When Derwin James is on the board at 15, a big part of every NFL draft is filling the need, getting good players and getting value, and to understand that other players, other GMs, and you hear from scouts that Colt Miller was going to fall a little bit farther. You just have to think they didn't get the value there in the first round. Alternatives to filling the offensive tackle need were there in free agency, and they were there in the draft. There are other better tackle prospects at other spots in the draft than where they were at the first pick of the third round, Brandon Parker, a guy that wasn't on a lot of people's boards, and with Colt Miller, who was not the second best tackle in this class by a lot of people, including us here at PFF.
Right.
The 7th ranked offensive tackle in the class.
Yes, it seemed kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to the Niners taking McGlinchey, who seemed to be the Raiders' pick at number 10 at that point. Had the Raiders picked McGlinchey at 10, would you have been happy with that, or is that still a reach?
No, I think McGlinchey was the best tackle per Pro Football Focus, the best tackle in this class. Whether or not he's worth a first rounder starts to involve need. If you're a team that needs an offensive tackle in this class, I think it starts to make sense to bet your first rounder on the best one. The best one was Mike McGlinchey, and if you can get the best one in the first round, regardless of really where you're at, it makes sense. And I think that's why the Niners take him at 9. You had that rumor coming out from, I'm not sure if it was Raiders Beat or The Athletic, but the Raiders were actually looking to move up ahead of the 49ers because they caught wind that McGlinchey was going to go at 9.
Wow.
And then when he actually did go at 9, I think that's when John Gruden and Reggie McKenzie worked together to get that trade back. I think they were, Arizona kind of fleeced them a bit in terms of what they received in compensation. I know Mark Davis has commented on that as well. I think, but it was still good they traded back, because I know Gruden was thinking tackle no matter what, and I think McKenzie was smart to know that the value at 10 for Colt Miller is not good. So maybe moving back as far as could if they indeed were going to go tackle no matter what.
So in that trade, they end up getting Martavis Bryant. Does that sort of does that make it a little bit sweeter to you? I feel like they still should have got more out of that trade back. But that being said, does that make this deal any sweeter?
So, with third round pick and you're able to turn that into Martavis Bryant, there's, the knee-jerk reaction for me is that, that's good. Martavis Bryant is a solid receiver. There's definitely a need of wide receiver for the Raiders. But the guy's 26 years old, going on the last year of his contract, and, is going to demand big money. And would you rather have Martavis Bryant for that third round pick, or Michael Gallup out of Colorado State, Deshaun Hamilton out of Penn State? You start to think about these other guys they could have selected, guys that are going to be much cheaper, there for more than a year on cheaper deals, and able to develop in an offense in a locker room that is in no need of any more headaches. And Martavis Bryant has proven to be such a headache in Pittsburgh. And Mike Tomlin even said, the Raiders were talking to him a lot, and they were really working this trade. And then when they offered him a third rounder, it turned into a no-brainer. When opposing teams are thinking this trade's a no-brainer, it's not good value for the other side. I think the Raiders used that extra third rounder as a free pick, able to move it for what they wanted. And I think they maybe even got fleeced on that trade as well, considering the other wide receivers available in that third round.
Just when I was starting to feel good about this draft, Che.
You know what, Gayle? Austin, I have a question for you now. Do you think that how should I put this? Do you think them taking Miller at 15 the way that we did is at least softened in any way by the fact that you had San Francisco take a tackle, we took a tackle at 15, and then you had New England taking a tackle later on in that first round, and then early on in the second round there was a lot of offensive linemen that came off the board. Do you think that is do you think that makes it a little bit, it softens the blow a little bit as far as them reaching, because it seems that a lot of teams had offensive linemen needs and on their board as far as going within the first 2 rounds.
Definitely. I think it definitely softens the blow, but when you look at some of those other teams you mentioned, I think Isaiah Wynn in the back end of the first round, great value. Connor Williams at the top of the second, great value. Colton Miller at 15, not so much.
Dude,
if the Raiders wanted to trade, if the Raiders traded back even further and then started to consider Colton Miller on the back end of that first, or even Connor Williams on the back end of that first, you're starting to see a very, very good value for that pick. When you go at 15, Derwin James is on the board. Tremaine Edmonds, a 19-year-old linebacker that has all the tools to be successful. A project, if you'd like one. I know you guys are high on projects. Yeah, a project if you'd like one there at 17. And the Bills even ended up trading up for him, so there's another trade down time if you wanted him.
Right.
I don't know. I think it softens the blow for sure. I know I'm sounding kind of like a Debbie Downer on this thing. There's just a lot of criticisms in this draft. But if I'm going to focus on the positive side, Colt Miller is extremely athletic. He had a career year last year at UCLA, playing on the blind side. He's solid in pass protection, proving he could do it at a high rate. And his run blocking, it's shown improvement throughout his career. It's something that he's improved steadily. Can his technique improve to a level where he can handle NFL edge defenders? I'm not sure. Can Tom Cable work his magic? Maybe. A lot of question marks still surrounding it, and those question marks are instantly turned into criticisms. It's hard to turn question marks into excitement. Question marks are immediately concerns until they're corrected or answered.
Good point. This is why you get paid the big money, Austin. Rolling around in that Phantom. I see you out there, Austin.
Yeah.
So let's move forward a little bit. Let's talk about undrafted free agent cornerback Jamarcus King. Tell us a little bit about this guy.
Jamarcus King is a good corner. I think he played well. Surprised he ended up slipping out of the draft. This is a guy that I think can play at a high level at South Carolina, and I think he provides depth at a position that the Raiders have struggled. However, when you start to look at how many corners they have on this roster that they're trying to get involved, Jamarcus King could slip out of the ranks. It's going to be hard for him to work in a roster spot. He's going to have to beat out, some of these other guys that have had playing time due to injuries. I'm not sure if he's able to fit into that roster, but like you have to point out, the competition in camp is going to be insane across the board because they've added so many players this offseason, so many different free agents. Traded for Ryan Switzer, traded for Martavis Bryant. That wide receiver battle is going to be insane. Cornerback is going to be insane with Sean Melvin, Darren Conley, Nick Nelson. Now you bring in Jamarcus King. There's going to be a lot going on there, and it's going to be exciting. I think they make good decisions in bringing in a lot of players at position battles where there's not anything concrete. Other than Amari Cooper, the rest of that wide receiver depth chart is in flux. And other than really Rashawn Melvin and Garyon Conley, that number 3, number 4 role, which is so needed in this pass-happy league, is in flux. And those are going to be things that guys like Jamarcus King, Nick Nelson, and others are going to be able to work for.
All right. I'm liking the competition kind of pretty much almost at every position on this team right now.
Right.
A lot of bodies in there. So explain the relationship between Pinheiro and Townsend. Townsend the punter, Pinheiro the kicker that we brought in. I think we know the answer to this question, too. Is Pinheiro just a camp leg, or should Giorgio be concerned at this point?
I think Giorgio better be ready. Because this kid can kick. This kid can kick, man. According to our special teams analyst, Gordon McGinnis, he was one of the only kickers that he thought, in addition to the Auburn kicker that was selected, that should have been drafted because he has that much talent. He was surprised to see him slip out of the draft. And I think the Raiders were smart, a sneaky good move in taking Townsend because they know they would have the advantage, the upper hand in bringing in Pinheiro, as that camp leg if he did slip as an undrafted free agent, because that connection is key. Townsend, I know, recruited him over to Oakland, and that's just such a good play. I think Tavecchio, he had a great week 1, and he had some solo early in the season. He rode that momentum through some missed kicks, honestly, through some missed extra points, because he had such a great week 1 and was stepping in for a legend. And I think that momentum and that he had a good nickname. You bring that all around, and people start to overlook some of his misses. And he wasn't super accurate down the stretch. And I think those inaccuracies and those inefficiencies, Pinheiro can really kill it in camp. It's hard for me to imagine that the Raiders aren't going to want to stick with this duo from Florida.
Yeah, I didn't overlook a damn thing, Austin. Che is my witness. I was sweating bullets every time this guy lined up. I have zero faith in Giorgio, so bringing in Pinero, I really like this.
Yeah. Hey, I have another question for you, Gayle. Now, did you happen to check out the video of Pinero kicking this 80-yard field goal unofficially?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I saw the 80-yarder, and that's what you see on tape. This guy has a huge leg. It's the first thing anyone ever said about him when asked about him. The guy has a cannon for a leg, and John Gruden, there when Janikowski was there early in his career, he loves a big leg, and I think that's the number one reason why they went after this guy. When you got a big leg like that, you're able to do a lot more things on the offensive side of the ball, take less risks, and put points on the board. I would be really, really surprised, and this may be a hot take, I'd be really, really surprised if Raiders aren't starting both those Florida special teamers week 1.
I love it.
I like it.
So,
I like it.
Sticking with special teams, is Hunter Bradley the new John Kondo?
It's hard to say. I think they obviously signed the other long snapper in free agency. I think it doesn't really matter at this point. I know the DePola that they signed in free agency had very high snap accuracy last season. He played at a high level. I don't see him getting beat out. I mean, it's hard for rookie long snappers to make it this league, especially when you have a veteran that's been around and proven to have success in the NFL. I think DePola is kind of the go-to guy there.
Right. So what unit is now most improved after this draft? Is it the defensive line? Is it the secondary? Is it special teams? Which unit on the Oakland Raiders received a big boost in this draft?
It's hard to say that kicker-punter duo isn't the most improved. Those are two talented guys, but special teams is obviously not the most important part of the game. To kind of pick a unit more specifically, I'd say interior defensive line. Reese Hurst is that good. I don't have as much faith in P.J. Hall. I think his technique is flawed. I think he has worlds away before he's going to be able to succeed in this league, just because, yes, he had so much success at the FCS level, but when you look at those blocked kicks, just watch those blocked kicks. He's so much quicker off the ball. He's so much stronger, and he's so much faster than these future Uber drivers there at the FCS level, and just blowing through them. You rarely see him have to even have good leverage. You rarely see him even need to have good hand usage, and he was able to do it, because he was so strong, so explosive, such a freakish talent in terms of measurables. He's gonna need to learn technique at the left level, just like Jihad Ward needed to. Because he was a former wide receiver that was tall, athletic, big, had all these tools, could do everything in the world if he just learned some technique, and he didn't. And now he's in Dallas. I think P.J. Hall could fall into a similar mold if he doesn't, learn his technique and isn't able to learn from the position coaches how to improve as a technically sound interior defensive lineman. More so than I think any other positions, in football. Offensive line and defensive line need good technique. If you're 6'6" and really fast, you're going to catch balls at wide receiver. You're going to make some plays at tight end. At a corner, if you run a 4-3, you're going to be able to at least have some success in the league. But interior defensive line and offensive line, you can't just be big and you can't just be strong. You have to have technique. And I think that's where the Raiders gamble on their position coaches, because they're going to have to teach up technique to Miller, Hall, Parker, and so forth.
Wow.
Yeah.
You killing me with the Uber driver comment. The podcast is canceled. That's a wrap.
Real quick, Austin, did you happen to catch some of Jihad's comments on social media since being traded? And is it possible that he ends up an Uber driver as well? I plead the fifth. I didn't see any of his comments on social media, and I'm not going to comment on the future of his career. He hasn't played well. His technique, and he played 30+ defensive snaps in only 2 games last year. Healthy scratches for most of the games. Yeah. One of those games was against the Dallas Cowboys. And when you watch that film, if you have Game Pass or if you have film storage, he gets blown off the line consistently in the game. I'm not sure what Dallas saw in that game, but you should watch his run defense in that game. You should watch him trying to attack the passer. I think there's still significant flaws in his game, and yes, he hasn't been able to do so because of lack of experience in year 2. But he had so much experience in year 1 and failed to really make a difference. I'm pretty sure he didn't even have a tackle for loss as a rookie, and that's a concern.
that's a significant concern.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders, possibly their greatest, second to Maurice Hurst, their best move of that draft weekend was being able to ship Jihad Ward for a potential playmaker on special teams as a punt returner and a potential slot receiver to replace Seth Roberts and Ryan Switzer. I think the guy has a lot of talent. A lot of people liked him coming out of North Carolina. He was limited in snaps in Dallas, not because of injury, but because they had a lot of receivers in front of him. Cole Beasley does everything Ryan Switzer does, and he's done it for longer in the NFL. I think it was a no-brainer that Switzer was going to take that number 2 role. Unfortunately, you can't play 2 slot receivers every down. Right. I think Switzer, given the opportunity, can have a lot of success, and especially if the Raiders are as low on Seth Roberts as the media has made it out, or as rumors have made it out,
or as fans have been
early.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know much about Switzer, but just seeing kind of all the sad cheek emojis from Dallas Cowboy fans got me excited. I don't know how that trade happens. I don't know how they take Ward for Switzer, but it's not a salary dump because Switzer's on a rookie contract, and obviously he's probably never going to make enough money to warrant a salary dump. But the Raiders got their token white receiver. We're officially in the NFL now.
Are we following the Patriots?
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out.
Oh, so I gather from everything that you just said, Austin, that Jihad Ward just quit his bitching, right? Because he's bitching about being traded on social media, and as you just put it, what are you complaining about, man? You didn't really do anything.
Yeah. Not only that, but
there's reason to complain. I think the defensive line coach, he fell out of favor with the defensive line coaches and was healthy scratches is hard pill to swallow as a second year player drafted in the second round, trying to gain experience to improve his craft. I think there's reason to be frustrated for him. I totally understand. Yes, he didn't play well, but you don't blame the player for being overdrafted. The team overdrafts the player and sets those expectations from the media and the fans and so forth. It's not Jihad Ward's fault that he was picked in the second round after playing 1 year at defensive line after being a wide receiver at junior college. It's not his fault for being picked in the second round. It's the team's fault. And the team set that bar so high for him that he struggled underneath the expectations. He ended up having a couple social media meltdowns, healthy scratches in year 2, and I think that hurts the player mentally. I don't blame Jihad Ward for being overdrafted, and that comes from the team side of things.
I blame Jack Del Rio. Blame Jack. So, as you know, the Raiders have brought in almost an entire 53-man roster in this offseason. Also obvious, not every draft pick sticks to the roster. So out of the guys that we picked up in the draft, who hits the practice squad?
That's a great question. It's hard. I think it's going to be a battle between the last 2 picks. I think Marcel Aitman and Azim Victor are going to have a very hard time, fitting onto this roster. I think Marcel Aitman, just because there are so many wide receivers on this roster now. You have Seth Roberts, who's making $2 million plus next year, so you'd be weird to put him on the practice squad.
Right.
Then you got Jordy Nelson, Amari Cooper, Martavis Bryant. And now that's 4 right there. You add in Ryan Switzer into the mix, that's 5. It's going to be hard for Marcel Aitman to push onto this roster when what he does isn't necessarily something the Raiders need if they do have so much faith in Jordy and Martavis Bryant, 2 kind of bigger receivers that are able to be possession receivers when they need to be. Yeah. Especially when you got Ryan Switzer, it's going to be very tough for him to find the field. With Victor, I think it's because I have a lot more faith in James. Markel Lee's going to want some development in year 2. Morrow, and now you got Tahir Whitehead. If the Raiders do end up inking a deal with Derek Johnson, that's another veteran in the room. And plus, I think Azim Victor is far, far away from being a startable player, let alone really a depth player in this league. I think he needs to work, again, like the other players they've drafted, to work his technique, he needs to get his mind right, understand the game mentally, maybe even improve his build overall, add on some weight, get a little bit stronger, get a little bit faster before he takes the field. I think the player drafted after Azim Victor, his teammate Keyshawn Bierria, to the Denver Broncos, may even be a better talent down the road. Those 2 guys, those careers will be tied close together just because of where they were drafted and, of course, being teammates in college. But it'd be close to keep an eye on both those guys. I think Azim Victor has chances to be good, but in year 1, to expect a lot from him, for anyone to expect him to be, a good, startable linebacker like Morrow was last year, I just don't see it.
Great answer. So let's segue a little bit because you brought it up. Derek Johnson in the building today. What's to make of this? Is this really a leverage play for Bowman? Is this a plan B because the Bowman thing is falling through? I mean, I don't see Bowman even taking any other visits. I know he's only 29. I'm actually starting to get this gut feeling that Bowman retires. I don't know. What's the Derek Johnson move all about? And if you had your choice, both guys in the room at the table with contracts in front of them, which one are you taking, Bowman or Derek?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're putting me in the crosshairs here for sure. With Derek, I think it's not so much a plan. It's not so much a plan B, but more so to see what's out there. The Bowman deal hasn't stuck. They're obviously not being able to agree on a number they like, so they're going to have to look for something else because I know they want a veteran linebacker presence in that locker room. That's something they're going to need with such young guys, such inexperienced guys that have struggled. Corey James has struggled with injury. Nick Morrow is a year removed from playing in the Division III. Markel Lee didn't play well in coverage last year. Tahir Whitehead is in a totally new change of scenery. They're going to want a veteran in there that has been around the block a few times. That's definitely something Derek Johnson has done to come into that locker room. I think when you look at Derek Johnson, he's old. He's 35 years old, and he's been in this league forever, but he's played at a very, very consistent level, a consistently high level. Last year, he allowed 91 yards after catch. No other linebacker playing over 300 defensive snaps allowed less than 100. He allowed a very low passer rating. He allowed a catch percentage of 55.8, one of the lowest among linebackers. He allowed, in coverage, this guy was able to get the job done despite being 34 years old last year. Well, yes, he was kind of hidden in Kansas City's scheme. He played some zone coverages that favored his skill set, but the Raiders can do the same thing if they want to. And when you can bring in a coverage linebacker into an Oakland Raiders uniform, you kind of want to jump at that very quickly, just because that's a position where they've struggled. To get a guy that understands coverages so well and knows when to take the first step, is able to read pass protection early and play well in coverage, it starts to make a lot of sense. Yes, I made that joke on Twitter, him being 30 years old, 4-year recruit, good in 1998. Yeah, but jokes aside, this guy played very, very well in coverage. Yes, he's old, but the Raiders aren't really in any situation to be picky at that linebacker position. They need a veteran presence, and there's not really much left there. They can't go back into the Perry Riley well. Navarro Bowman obviously wants to be overpaid, and Derek Johnson's kind of the next guy on the list. It's not, yes, you wish he was younger. Yes, you wish they had Roquan Smith, and maybe they have Tremaine Edmonds too. I mean, we could all dream in this fairyland, but right now they need a veteran linebacker, and Derek Johnson's one of the few left, and a very talented one at that.
So it sounds to me you'd be leaning Derek Johnson over Bowman if both guys were an option.
So with that, if both guys are an option, you want to look at their deals. What does Derek Johnson want? Does he want a 1-year deal on a veteran minimum? That starts to look a little favorable to me in terms of value. Navarro Bowman wants something 2, 3 because he is 29 years old, something that maybe the Raiders aren't willing to commit to at this point. It starts to weigh you down a little bit. I think if you had the two contracts in front of you, the cheaper one, the less committal one, it makes the most sense to me because both those linebackers have struggled with injuries. Both those guys are getting a little bit long in the tooth. I think that's maybe a leading reason why the Raiders haven't inked Navarro Bowman. Maybe Navarro Bowman's looking for a 3-4-year deal, something like that kind of sets him up for the rest of his career, and the Raiders are willing to stay back. While Derek Johnson, you can't imagine him asking for anything more than a 1-year deal at this point.
Yeah, it's just odd to see that Bowman hasn't taken any visits yet. I mean, the other theory that's being floated out there is, as a veteran, even though he's only 29, but like you said, he struggled with injury. He's slowing down a bit. It could be that he's just trying to wait this out so he doesn't have to go to these mini camps and whatnot, which would be kind of a vet move too. I mean, it's a long shot, but it's feasible to say the least. And who knows? There's more cuts coming after the draft here. Again, like I said, we have a surplus of talent. There's going to be some more cap space that comes even as soon as the next few weeks. So Bowman's not out yet. I know a lot of people are feeling like that. A Raider fan emotion goes back and forth, and as time goes on, it's just going to get more extreme. So let's wait it out. If Derek Johnson's going to be signed, I got a gut feeling it would happen tomorrow. It's Reggie Friday. He was in the building today. And if Johnson gets signed, does that necessarily rule out Navarro Bowman in your thoughts?
If they do ink Johnson to a deal, I can't imagine them also signing Bowman. They got to try and get some of their younger guys experience next year. Morrow showed enough promise where you're going to want to get him snaps. James needs more snaps after him being injured a lot of the last couple seasons. Markel Lee, a former fifth-round pick out of Wake Forest, he's going to want snaps. Tahir Whitehead, you signed him before to a very lucrative deal. There starts to be too many cooks in the kitchen at that point if you want to bring in Navarro Bowman and Derek Johnson. I think now you're kind of playing for just 1 year almost, like 2018s where you're going all in. And given their draft selections, They did not go all in on 2018. If you want to go all in on 2018, you take high score prospects. They took projects for the future, like Gruden speaks to. You know, what we're doing for the future of the Oakland Raiders. He's thinking long term, and I think bringing Navarro Bowman and Derek Johnson, you're not thinking long term anymore. You're thinking short term.
Great point.
It's true.
So let's shift our focus a little bit to more personal affairs. So last time you were on, Austin, you did a really good job of breaking down the PFF analysis process, what goes into your score grading and all that stuff. But I want to know what Austin Gayle does on game day. Exactly how many televisions do you have? How many cups of coffee are you drinking? Are you watching one game? Are you a red zone junkie? Coffee. Do you hear this man's voice? This guy's drinking coffee. I guarantee you.
I definitely drink a lot of coffee. Game day is tough for me, man. I'm doing a lot. You know, a lot of it. You know, I have a pretty deep writing background, so I do a lot of editing on game days. I watch a lot of film and kind of manage a little bit here and there. It's graphic creation. I'm involved in a lot of sides of the business. I think it's a major reason why I ended up taking Employee of the Year this last year. It's because, I was kind of a jack of all trades by voluntary, just by voluntary, being a volunteer in that, we need to pick up slack here, I'm picking up slack there. And, it's hard to really pinpoint one area I'm doing, but in a nutshell, drinking a lot of coffee, watching a lot of football, and just, really loving it all.
How many televisions do you have currently in your living room?
It's in that range of 2 to 3. It cycles back. Sometimes I'll go into the office just because it's easier to kind of work there, get away from the staying at home, and physically during the season, it's hard. You won't see me away from the office on the weekends much during the season.
I gotcha. Man, it's been great having you on. Are you? I've seen on Twitter that are you out in Ohio?
Yes, that's correct. So Pro Football Focus's headquarters here in Cincinnati. When the company was purchased by Chris Collinsworth, they moved us out here to Cincinnati because Chris Collinsworth's out here in Cincinnati, and that's where we're headquartered. So when I graduated from San Diego State in May of last year, accepted this position at 9 days after I walked. I'm here in Cincinnati, working with Pro Football Focus. So I've been here in Cincinnati for just under a year now.
Well, Che just threw his hands up right now when you said San Diego State. That's also his alma mater.
That's right. Go Aztecs.
Oh, nice.
So you've been out in Ohio for a couple of years now. What's the cuisine of specialty out there? What is it that every Ohioan's telling you got to try? What is it, and does it live up to the hype?
That's a good question, man. And I'm a pretty big foodie myself, and that was one of the first things I was definitely looking into when I first came out here. And Cincinnati has some quirks. They're big on chili. They're big on Gouda, which is a German sausage that isn't really that good and when it comes down to it, but they're big on some quirky things. But if you want to get in what's actually good, obviously going out here in the Midwest, barbecue's good. They do American food well. They do burgers well. They do ribs well. They do pizza well, and that kind of thing. But where it lacks, in my opinion, is where coming, born and raised in the Bay Area, obviously Oakland Raider fan, and then going into San Diego, you're in this melting pot of diverse cuisines and foods to where you're getting Thai, Vietnamese, Indian, Malaysian, Himalayan, all in this melting pot that is San Diego in the Bay Area. And when you come out here to Cincinnati, it's just not the same. You're getting Chinese, and then you could try the Chinese food, and there's just not a lot of, variety in that sense on the ethnic side of things.
What were you saying about tacos, Che?
I was just saying, are you missing some tacos out there, bro? Are you missing some tacos out there, Austin? Because you're talking about the Bay Area, you're talking about San Diego. The Cali burrito up in San Diego is the biz. They got taco shops just about in every single corner out there. So you missing some tacos, man? Do we got to send you some tacos?
No. I think you guys might need to send me some tacos. Cincinnati's scene for Mexican and Latin American food is not the same, and I don't think it's fair to even compare. We're so much closer to the border, there in San Diego that you better get a better taco in San Diego.
That's right.
Honestly, a lot of the Mexican restaurants I'm going to, you're just coming away, upset. You're just coming away wishing you had more, and I don't blame them. That's not me bashing Cincinnati. That's not me bashing these restaurants. That's me just missing home. That's me just missing. You could go down the street, and I know, San Diego State alone, I know you know this, you go on any corner in San Diego and find an Albert Tacos or a taco shop, those tacos, and they're going to be good every single time, regardless of where you go. But here, you just don't have that luxury, and it's definitely something I miss.
Shout out to the drive-through 24-hour San Diego taco spots. A concept I had no idea until I visited San Diego.
That's college life right there, bro. That's college life right there.
And also a signature dish out there that's now made its way up to the Bay Area is the asada fries.
Yep.
Which is also fire. But we tend to diverge on the podcast. We talk a lot about food. So thanks for joining the food conversation, Austin, and thanks for joining the show again this week. We look forward to future conversations with you and hope that some of these guys pan out. A lot of these boomer busts, a lot of these gamble picks, we want to see make impact on the field.
Oh yeah,
of course. And if there's one last comment I want to say on this draft class, I know again Debbie Downer, a lot of critiques, but if the Raiders really do gamble on on their positioning coaches and their head coach and Don Gruden, like they said they did, and it pans out, they're doing something that a lot of the league can't do right now, and that's turn potential into results. And to turn potential into results in a league that practices are cut down, you're not wearing pads as often, you're not able to see your players as much. To be able to turn potential into results is a rarity in this league. If the Raiders and Gruden and co. can pull that off, they start to step among some of the better teams in this league, because that is not something that teams are able to do anymore, and that's why teams avoid project players. And that's something that Raiders fans and Raider Nation should be excited about, to look forward to. Of course, if they're not able to, red flags start to pop up. But if they are able to, it's a very positive sign for the Raiders' future.
All right. Well, as they say, potential is a coach killer. I hope that's not the case. Thanks again, man, for joining us. Thanks for staying up late, and we're gonna get you some tacos out there somehow, some way.
We'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. Some salsa too, man.
Thanks again, guys.
All right, brother. Take care,
man.
All right, Austin Gayle.
That's good stuff, man.
Always a good conversation with Austin.
Hell yeah, man.
Big
Hell
brains.
yeah.
We have some big brain guests on here.
Yes. It's all about intelligence up in this podcast, man.
That's why I had to expand the bandwidth. It wasn't the video stream. The amount of intelligence.
This is just too much brain. It's too much brain for a podcast. We got to expand it.
Yeah, that's why it's hot in here, too, because we got the giant mainframe sitting right behind us. That's not on camera. You guys can't see that.
I produce enough heat by myself, man, without all this equipment up in here.
Yeah, we both run hot. A lot of heat radiating off these pillagers right now. So at this point in the show, still haven't heard from Raider Kane. It's 9:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Generally get him on about 9:30. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to your calls. We're going to come back and respond to them. Hopefully we get Kane on here. If not, we still have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll make the best out of it. Kane, we miss you. Hopefully you come through. We'd really like that.
In the clutch.
If not, be ready, Che, because I'm not letting these questions go to waste.
Shoot those questions, man.
All right, bro.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we out here.
Peace.
Go Raiders.
Che, it's 303. All right, this is the post. We got Martavius Bryant phone call, because when I first called in, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't all that excited about Colt Miller. But the fact that the third said it as Martavius Bryant, I mean, the bottom line is you can say what you want, and Miller was a repeat 15. We all know that, but the offense, as of right now, is better. Bryant is dynamic. Yes, he's one suspension or one hit of the chronic away from being suspended again, but I mean, we always criticize Reggie for not doing a big bold move. Well, with Gruden there, you can see, it's a little bit riskier, but man, Martavius Bryant, 6'5", ran a 4.40. The dude is electric. So if he's focused, and you see Cooper, Bryant, Nelson, Cook, beast mode, and I've got a feeling that we're going to take a running back, in the second or third round. I also see us going DT and defensive tackle Hurst, and then also get another corner. Man, offense is better. That's the bottom line after Thursday. The offense is better, and our offense is going to look deadly. Super pumped now after I've had a minute to think about it. A few drinks after that Miller pick, but I think after the Bryant trade. Offense is looking much better. This is 303. I'm out.
What's up, Kenny? What's up, Jay? Kane? Man, I see a lot of people disappointed in the draft pick. Man, I mean, it is what it is. It's not what anyone wanted. Hell, I don't even think anyone saw that one coming. But I'd hate to be that kid, man, because everybody was booing him. I just think that's fucked up. But we did get Martavius Bryant. I know Kane doesn't like him, but there's a lot of good things coming. I don't necessarily agree with how many good players they just let go. I thought that's crazy, but it is what it is. Well, I mean, at this point, you really can't predict what the hell they're going to do. They might just go all offense, or who knows at this point. But Raider Nation just needs to chill out. Y'all taking this way too damn hard. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it sucks, yeah, but I mean, every draft seems to be that way. Every time there's good players, we don't ever pick them. We pick these weird ones, you know, just like, I mean, Khalil Mack and Derek Carr, but we always do some weird shit. I mean, I remember people pissed off when we picked up Namdi. Everyone was like, oh man, that's horrible. But, I mean, Namdi was pretty damn good after a while. I just say, give the kid a chance. Can't just already throw him down and expect him to be good when everyone's thinking he's garbage. But the rest of you guys, man, I just wish you guys a good day. Today's going to be 100 degrees outside in Hell's backyard, and I got to work. But the rest of you guys, have a great day. Go Raiders.
What's up, Kenny? What's up, Chuck? What's up, Kane? What's up, man? This is the Pomona Raider. I've just been listening to your podcast maybe the last month or so. Just found it amongst all the other ones. And I just thought I'd talk about the draft with you guys. Just heard your podcast for today, Friday, right before day 2 of the draft. Maurice Hurst was there. Kenny, he was there. Harold Landry was motherfucking there. Harold Landry. We trade back with the Titans, and guess who they fucking take? Harold motherfucking Landry. And that's the type of dude that we needed, you know? So, of course, in Reggie fashion, we go ahead and we trade back for a couple small town dudes. Because PJ Hall, they said, I mean, he was shocked he was a second rounder or a third rounder. But Mike Mayock said he liked the dude, probably a later round pick, but definitely pro day, you know, stud. But I mean, he's just like Maurice Hurst without the health issues. What I would like them to do, because Maurice Hurst is still there in the 4th round. Fuck it, draft that motherfucker. These motherfuckers can't draft anybody that makes the fucking field anyways. So why not give this kid a little bit of money in his pocket, let him play for 2 or 3 years, and then let him, you know, find a second contract with somebody else like Starlet Tulele, like the Panthers did with him. They didn't re-sign him because he had a heart issue. But really pissed at the Harold Landry thing that we didn't get him. Instead, we, you know, went ahead and got PJ Hall. But, you know, maybe this dude's pretty good. You know, we got to see what he is against big-time talent, because he wasn't, you know, he was a stud against in the smaller school circuit. But, I mean, look at James Cowser, about the same size of a dude. He had a school record of 90 sacks, or 80 sacks, I believe, in a small town, Division II, I think. And this kid, PJ Hall, he broke that record with, I think, 86 sacks. But where's Cowser? Cowser's an awesome dude, pretty good special teamer, nice. Every now and again, throw him in there, get the quarterback. But he ain't a starter. Harold Landry would have been a starter. Maurice Hurst would be a starter. Well, I predict it's going to happen tomorrow, 4th round. Is with Vic Tafer and somebody's like to do the same. Probably going to go ahead and draft Dixon, that punter, something from the state. I mean, we let Marquette King, an undrafted dude, study and shine after training him for a little bit. So I think we get a kicker with 106 round pick. They don't have to be a stud at college. They don't develop the motherfucker, dude. But yeah. Anyways, good podcast. I gotta say what the other dude said on the podcast from today. One of the callers, hey man, fucking fool. Villa Piano. Sorry about that, I was rambling. But real quick, Villa Piano, awesome, special guest. Love his commentary on there, you know, being interviewed by you guys. But hell of an hour, Kenny. But hey, I was glad we got Arden Key. That was a good thing. You know, maybe he changed his life around. At least you're taking a flyer on dude later in the third round that has first round talent. So, all right, enough with these small town motherfuckers. Let's get some fucking studs in the fourth round. Let's see who's there. Fourth and fifth round. Let's move around. We don't need 90 players on the fucking roster before we even get to undrafted rookies and shit. So, come on, enough, Reggie, with the 15 fucking picks. Let's get 7 studs. Raiders.
Kenny, Jay, Raider Nation, Freebasers. Want to talk about your draft? Want to start from the bottom of the draft and work our way up? Start with 7th round, Marcel Aitman, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. Got that 4.64 turtle-like speed for a wide receiver. He's probably a better fit for a European-style football goalkeeper. I think he's going to transition over that way. In the 6th round, we took linebacker Azim Victor. He only got suspended twice last year, trying to figure out how that translates to the NFL game. I guess if you double it, so he should be good for 4 suspensions next year. 5th round pick, Johnny Townsend, punter. I understand this pick. It makes a lot of sense. That's like, you know, when you're saying we're not going to score a lot of points, we're not going to get in the red zone, got to have a punter. So that's an understandable pick. Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle. I'm not going to talk shit about this guy. You know, he has his problems, so all I'm going to say is bless his heart. Nick Nelson, cornerback, Wisconsin. In the last 2 years up there, he had 12 penalties for either defensive holding or pass interference. Trying to figure out how, once again, this translates to the NFL. Using the same kind of formula that we use for Victor, you can just double that. So that's 12 either pass interference or defensive holdings a year. So he's good for a lot of yellow flags. 3rd round, Arden Key. I like this guy. I think Vegas is already taking bets on how long till he gets his 3rd strike. So we'll see how long you can hold on to him. You got the offensive tackle, Brandon Park. You know, comes from a small school. It kind of reminds me of that big fat kid on the playground picking all the little kids. I guess that would kind of sum up his NCAA career. Not sure how much room there is for him to grow up there on the NFL level. Mr. Hall, defensive tackle. This kid is ultra talented. There's no lie about it. I heard he had a bunch of D1 big-time program offers and scholarships on the table. I do understand he had a hard time coloring inside the circles on the test, so maybe now that he's a Raider, he's a Silver Crown. Maybe it's easier to draw inside of Gunther's playbook. I don't know. Round 1, Colton Miller. I like this guy. This is a good, solid pick here. You know, he comes from a higher learning facility like UCLA. I think he majored in Marvel comic history, which could be helpful at the NFL level. I think he has a pair of incredible Hulk underwears that he puts on game days. That might help him when he goes up against Von Miller or Bosa. So this is a good pick. That's all I got for you this week, Raider Nation. Got cut off there. Wanted to finish up my comments there, Raider Nation. Make sure you keep your head up. It sounds like a solid draft to me. Look, could be worse. You could have signed Jamarcus King. Oh, wait a minute. All right, Pillagers, EAD. That's Cold Honk here. I'm out.
Yeah, this is Don calling from Queens. You know who I am by now. Shouldn't have to get my name, but anyway, I guess all the nation came down from the buildings and the bridges. Think we're going to be okay. So, Bowman, stop playing games, get signed up. Let's go. Let's try to get this trip for Chucky's first year before we go to Vegas. All right, y'all? Gotta take it easy. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. And keep that podcast on YouTube nice and clean. There's friendly kids out there watching. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. Later.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Harry from over in the UK. I've been messaging you guys on Twitter and stuff. Just my thoughts on the NFL draft. Overall, I thought it went pretty well for us this year. We had it was a bit annoying in the first rounds, obviously staying up till 3 3 a.m. But over here it's quite annoying when you're taking offensive tackle when you wanted some defensive players. But overall, I think it does make sense when you're going to. I think Gruden just wants to keep Carr injury free, and I think the trade to get Martavis Bryant as well should be amazing. We've got some offense this year, should be great, and we put in some late, obviously, hopefully steals with Arden Key and Hurst. Hopefully it's going to work out well for us if they can pull it round. I don't really know. It's a bit in the blue at the moment, but I hope all's well, guys, and it's a positive draft overall, I think. Anyway, cheers, bye.
Hey, Kenny, Jay, this is G-Paw Raider from Colorado. I'm a first-time caller. I sat here all day Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday and watched the draft, and man, that was a beautiful draft. Took up Garrison Hurst at 140. I'm not Gertrude, I'm on a Maurice Hurst, I'm on my mind. That was beautiful. I think Reggie and John had a wonderful draft. And let's Raider on. Just win, baby. It's spring on the season. I'm out. Okay, Google, stop.
Kenny K! It's your boy 303, calling you from rainy and wet Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Actually just checking out the live stream on the blog. Now I know what Che looks like. What's up, Che? And by the way, the muscle hamster, I believe, is Doug Martin. Anyway, wow, what a draft. So exciting. We've been saying it for months. One of the most exciting drafts that we've seen. And you know what? I actually called in last week after the Colton Miller pick and wasn't too excited. But then when we flipped the draft pick that we got, when we moved down for Martavis Bryant, I was excited. And then really with all these other picks, I mean, outside of the reach that I think in the third for the one offensive tackle, I think it's Miller from the small school. I think every other pick was fantastic. Arden Key, oh my gosh, last year that kid killed people. And I don't know, I'm not going to pretend I know who PJ Hall is, but reading about him, looking at some of his tape, looking at his measurables, oh my gosh. And then of course Maurice Hurst, as long as that heart doesn't fail quickly, oh my god, all of a sudden our pass rush with Mack and Irvin, and then you got MEJ, I mean, assuming he's healthy, wow, a lot of competition, great job. The Wisconsin corner got good value because he had a torn meniscus. I forget the receiver, I think it's Oklahoma State. Man, a lot of potential. Definitely a boom or bust draft, but I definitely we're going to have, we're fixed in our pass rush. I think with all the additions in free agency, our corners are going to be much better. I think realistically, our defense could be a top 10 to 15 defense, 15 on the low end. I really think we're not going to see a lot of big explosive plays over the top. We're definitely going to be a top 10 team in sacks as long as everyone stays healthy. And then you know what? This is a big year for Derek Carr because under the tutelage of Gruden and Carr can pick up the offense. It looks on paper like the offensive line was definitely improved. And then, of course, our receiving corps, fantastic. And for those of you who are still pissed off the Crabtree left, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but Martavis Bryant and Jordy Nelson, man, our offensive weapons have improved. So we'll see about backup running back, who's going to win that spot, because that's definitely something that's open. And, of course, right tackle, and then will Penn come back, and then when are we going to sign Max? So there's still question marks. And, of course, getting Bowman back would be nice. I don't think that's ultimately necessary. But, man, really excited about this year. Go Raiders. Go Dubs. Chef Curry's back. 303, your boy is out.
What's up, Raider brothers? It's Homer. Man, I'm really excited about watching Hall and Hurst just dominate the interior line. Those two guys are going to be in the backfield before quarterbacks know what they're even doing. How we got both of those guys is unbelievable. And as far as the tackles on the offensive side, you know, I didn't want to tackle in the first round either. But after we selected him, I'm on board. We got a franchise quarterback who I've truly said he is the guy from that Seahawks preseason game, his rookie year, and I'm sticking to it. We got to protect him, man. So taking those 2 tackles doesn't look sexy, but it was the right move. You know, I don't know if Parker was the right guy, but we'll see. He's athletic, he's big, he's tall, and he was the best player in Division II at that position. Sometimes the small school guys have a lot to prove, so let's just hope and pray that comes true. And I'm just excited to see this defense actually be creative, do things differently, not get beat the same way all the time, and actually make the offense have to work to beat our schemes. Anyhow, brothers, it's been a long day. Let's stay positive. Keep the faith. Trust the process. Raiders.
And we're back. Just heard some of your calls again. A lot of calls. A couple first-time callers.
Yeah.
A couple new callers calling back.
Yep.
Like I asked for. And some long-time callers.
Yeah.
So let's start off with one of those, 303 Raider. First and foremost, and this goes out to all of you, it's Martavis Bryant. It's not Martavius. It's Martavis Bryant.
Yes.
303 thinks Martavis makes first-round pick a little bit sweeter. Many would agree with you. Many would disagree with you. I think over here on the Pillaging podcast,
we agree.
We agree with you.
We agree with you, man.
Absolutely. The next caller, I think it was Wop Raider. Che recognized the voice.
Yeah. Sounded like Wop Raider. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct us if I'm wrong. When you call in, state your name so we get it right. But you're right. I think folks are taking this a little bit too hard. I mean, that's the nature of the draft, right? I feel like you were calling in early before the draft had completed. In hindsight, we maybe should have waited and done the show on Sunday afternoon, but it is what it is. We're circling back. It's still relevant now.
Yeah.
It's going to be relevant all off season.
As a matter of fact, we're taking out the immediate reaction and emotion from it, right?
There you go.
We got a little time to take it all in, digest it, and give you the best that we got to offer.
I like that spin.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Sundays and immediate reaction, I hate to inform you guys, but this is going to be our second to last show on Thursdays. Hope it didn't scare you guys. Yeah, so this will be our second last show on Thursdays. We're going to be moving the shows to Sundays. My work schedule is taking over my life. But it looks like it'll be Sundays going forward. So I think on an earlier show we had mentioned doing 2 shows a week once the season started. That's likely going to actually be reduced to 1 show. We'll be doing our live podcast after the games. Primetime games excluded. We'll have to pivot when those come along. We're going to have to juke, zig, and zag. But it looks like the show is going to be moving to Sundays. We still plan on doing tailgate shows. I'm trying to figure out how we can do a live stream from the tailgate. Might have to pony up some cash to get a nice little hotspot there. But just FYI, next week we will be on Thursday. We'll be on with Matt Schneidman. And then after that, it's going to be a Sunday afternoon show. So that's good news for you guys that are commuting on Monday. You get the show nice and fresh on Monday morning. And hell, some of you guys might be able to get the show Sunday evening. We're going to probably be doing the show a little bit earlier in the day too. So that might work well for some of you. Might not work as good for the rest of you. For those that it doesn't work out, I apologize. But that's what it is. All right?
Got to work with us, people. Work with us.
Got to work with us. Pomona Raider, thanks for calling in. I don't think this was your first call, but I could be wrong there. Harold Landry, yes, he was there. You were obviously disappointed. I was more disappointed in Derwin James. I don't think Obi's going to be an every down player, but I'd be happy to be proved wrong about that. Harold Landry, like I said, I think is a tremendous athlete. I think he's going to work out well for Tennessee. I just didn't think he was a fit in this defense. I think he's better on a 3-4. I don't think Tennessee runs the 3-4. That doesn't mean he's not going to be talented there. But yeah, there was a lot of talent on the board there that we passed up. Yeah. But hopefully, you watch the rest of the draft pan out better. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are now that you've seen all 7 rounds. And you're right, Villapiano is a beast. The guy is a beast.
Yeah, Foo.
Yeah, Fo. What's up, Fo? And anyways, I don't know what social media you guys are on. There's a Villapiano Facebook page that's really kind of pushing to get him in the Hall of Fame. And of course, on Twitter, you want to make sure you follow Villapiano. That's his daughter. She does a lot of his PR, and she's making that push over there too. She also runs the Facebook page. So if you're a fan of Villapiano, like we are, like every member of Raider Nation should be, whether you got to see him play or not, you've at least seen the highlights, you've at least heard some of his stories here at the very least. Make sure you get behind that. We're looking forward to getting Phil back on the show sometime here during the season.
Oh yeah.
G-Par Raider, man, you love the draft. Thanks for keeping it positive, using the Google voice commands like a damn G. In fact, I want to do a little experiment. There's all these voice command pods out there now, right? I think it's a little bit risky because
it's very risky.
You never know when you're going to be listening to a show like the Pillaging podcast and Kenny Stabler's going to say something like, "Alexa, call the police." Okay, Google, call the fire department. You just never know when that's going to happen. And if I brought the cops to your house right now, good for you. You need to make sure you reach out and extend your relationships with your local law enforcement organization. And we're just trying to build those kind of relationships here because, as you know, those relationships are breaking down across the U.S.
Yes.
And it's important we rebuild those relationships. So, once again, Alexa, call the police. I'm working on a song with the same title. So,
you referring to Sting's group, man? The police?
No, I think Motosops is actually going to drop an Alexa Call the Police song. Harry in the UK. One thing I noticed about British guys is they like to tell you they're from the UK. I get it. We can hear that. It's all good. And I'm not clowning you. You stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch the draft.
Hell yeah, man! You're a writer.
Yeah, that's a writer.
That's a writer right there. Man.
That's commitment. That's the kind of commitment Raider Nation demands.
Yep.
But yeah, man, people, you got UK Raider out there. You got London Owl, Harry in the UK. We get it. You're from the UK. You got the accent. It sounds smooth. You could play a villain in almost any action movie. Big fan of the British accent over here, especially on the women. Wow.
Watch out now.
But yeah, man, thanks for your dedication watching the draft. And again, thanks for bringing the silver and black lining, another positive take on the draft. You guys get it, man. You got to stay positive until otherwise. As Raider fans, life's hard enough. There's enough cardiac games out there.
That's right.
There's enough haters out there.
That's right.
Don't bring the negativity yourself.
No.
Like I said on Reddit this morning, absorb the hate, piss excellence.
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
That's your new life motto. Don from Queens, hunkered down and whispering into his phone, hiding from the cops, the helicopter, no doubt. It's rough out there. Shaolin. I don't know where you're from. Oh, you're from Queens. You just said from. It's all in the name. But yeah, man, Don, thanks for calling in. Thanks for calling back. Keeping it clean for the kids. Wink, wink. We tried that for about a year, and it's just not who we are. We had aspirations of one day maybe making the radio, but I think Podcastville is where we belong.
This is where we belong, man.
Because it allows us to cut loose and say stuff like that.
As Raider fans, you got to be able to cut loose. Come on, man.
That's it.
If you've been to a tailgate, then you know what I'm talking about.
This is not a sanitary football base. As you could tell from WAP Raiders call, I think it was. Or no, Pomona Raider, I think it was. Yeah, we're not censoring the show anymore. It is what it is. If you hear a beep, if I say something like, and you hear the beep, that's comedy. The beep's funny.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's fun.
Ice cold honky.
Oh,
love them or hate them, guys. Those are hot takes.
Hot takes.
By far the best call of the show. Every great story has a great villain, and Honky is our villain. I appreciate that call. He definitely did his research.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know Colton Miller wore Incredible Hulk underpants.
I didn't know that either, man.
Whatever works, bro.
How'd he get that information, man? I want to know.
They called Valdir Hulk, but Colton Miller's living the life. Right?
Yeah, it's true. This is true.
He's walking the walk. Yeah, Maurice Hurst, bless his heart. Damn, too soon. No such thing. Not on this show.
That was cold-blooded, man. That was cold-blooded. Nice cold.
And then booking in the callers, 303 Tryman back in after the draft. It's still Martavis. But I'm glad you're excited, my man. Keep positivity coming. I look forward to 303's calls every week. As we get deeper in the season, like I said, we're going to bring some of the Pillagers on the air because I think some of you guys are just as knowledgeable as a lot of these writers, maybe if not more so. I really enjoy 303's thoughts. He keeps it positive, man. He weathers the storm. So look forward to that, 303, having you on. We're going to have you on as a guest here, probably coming up in June, July, somewhere around there. The dog days of summer. Right before the real camp start. And we look forward to getting you guys on, hearing some of your Raider stories and your takes on the team.
Yeah.
And the Pillagers get us all fired up.
The Pillagers get us fired up all the time, man.
That's our fuel.
All the time. Yeah, hell yeah.
So
it's the reason why we do this show. That's why we're so fired up to do this show.
That is exactly the reason why we do the show. And those of you that were... They're listening here. You weren't on YouTube. Just want to clarify, Che is not a skinny Filipino. Nothing wrong with skinny Filipinos.
I'm a chunky Mexican. But
yeah.
I'm working on it.
But it was called out that some people finally got to see Che, not what they thought he looked like. But yeah. And then I wanted to reset one of the takes here from, who was it? Oyster to Poister. He thought that, what was it? That if we had traded Jihad Ward for Hollywood Henderson's crack pipe. Still a good trade.
It's a hot take. Hot take.
Hot. So I like that. And then lastly, yeah, that was it. That was lastly. So again, we will be moving the show to Sundays in about 2 weeks. So Friday comes 2 weeks from now and you see no Pillaging podcast. Don't panic.
Yeah.
Show's coming. Sunday night, Monday morning, ready there for your Monday morning commute. We're here to get you through the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the week, man.
The week. Absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. So it's 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Still can't get a hold of Kane. Kane's been working a new job, too, a new schedule, just like me. So I know he's tired. He has, to be fair, he gets up pretty early now. My job is mostly nights. I'm working in the hood at night.
That's right.
So I get to sleep in a little bit. So I'll work with Kane. Maybe, hopefully, the Sunday schedule works better for him. I don't know if he got it the wires crossed and thought maybe we were moving to Sundays this week. But if so, that's a miscommunication, and I will take that. But I'm in contact with him today and haven't heard back. So we're gonna move through. Again, if he gets back to me and we're not done with the podcast, we're gonna call him up. We're gonna squeeze him in here. Kane's a big part of our show, and we appreciate our conversations with him. So we're gonna move forward here and get into Che's Corner. This week. Sponsored by NFLshop.com. Again, go to PJ4F.com. Click on the NFLshop.com banner. When you click through, we get a piece of your purchase. Helps keep this pirate ship stocked with rum. What's a pirate ship if you don't got barrels of rum?
You're damn right.
Check the logo.
That's it, man.
You know?
You gotta have the run. If you don't got the rum,
the ship don't run.
They don't run, man.
Yeah. So that's the barrel and the logo. If you're confused by that, you don't know jack about pirates. That's a rum barrel.
That's right.
And grog is rum that's been watered down.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Grog is watered down rum.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
You save that into your dictionary, your Rolodex, whatever you got. You now know what grog means, people.
Yeah.
You never knew that.
I'm here to educate.
Kenny, dropping knowledge.
Somebody's going to for sure tell me I'm wrong.
You making up shit, Kenny. What you talking about?
I did research that one day. I was curious because out in Santa Cruz, they got a liquor store out there called the Grog Shop. Pretty popular little spot right next to Marianne's ice cream shop. And they got signs out because it's a very small parking lot. And they get pissed off when the ice cream shoppers, the little families are parking in front of the liquor store. I supported the Grog Shop many occasions when I lived out there in Santa Cruz.
I bet you did.
Give me a little quart of ice cream. Roll through, get my 12-pack.
There you go.
That's a Friday night.
That is a Friday night, man. That's a Friday night.
So yeah, let's proceed with Che's Corner. So in the spirit of NFLshop.com, I'm going to ask you this right now, Che. If you were to go out and buy yourself a jersey for one member of this year's draft class, right now, tonight, whose jersey would that be?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's a good question. You know what? I think if I had to go out and buy, and you know what? I don't buy jerseys from the Young Bucks. I don't do that. That's just not my thing. I usually go with the vets or the legends.
Yep.
But if I had to put my money on it,
yeah,
I'm gonna go Mo Hurst, man.
Mo Hurst.
I'm gonna go Mo Hurst. I think like we said, if he has one good season,
yeah,
that's a big win for us. Now, if it turns into more than that, even better.
I also saw that now with the Mo Hurst jerseys, it comes with a free first responder patch.
Shit. You too, man. You too. You gonna come with these two?
I'm gonna burn in hell for that one. Nah, the nation got your back, Mo. For real. I mean, what good are these afflictions and the negativity and the adversity we face in life if we can't laugh about it?
That, and also, I mean, listen, man. This guy, in spite of that, has played outstanding in college.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he has plenty of motivation already, man. So anything that you want to pile up on him, it ain't gonna make no difference to him.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna flinch. He's gonna keep it moving. And like I said, I'm in your corner, man. So if I had to pick somebody, it would be you, Mo.
So you were highly critical after day one, as was I.
Yeah. I think we were both pretty critical. Right in the moment, right in that moment, yeah, we were pretty critical.
You saw my face when Derwin James was there. I was lit up like a neon sign.
Yeah.
Like a Taiwanese hooker on Christmas.
I don't know what that looks like, but all right. I'll take your word for it.
I can't believe I just said that. What are your thoughts now after day 2 and 3? After it's all been wrapped up.
Well, after the draft has been wrapped, right? And like we said, we took a whole week to digest, right?
Yeah.
I think you can see the positives, man. The positives start to come. They start to shine a little bit brighter. Mm-hmm. Like Austin said, man, there's a lot of boom and there's a lot of bust in this draft class. There's a lot of upside to our guys, really high ceilings. Really low floors also.
Yeah.
But really high ceilings. And I think, you know what? If you look at it from that perspective, if you get 2 to 3 guys out of this class that hit that really high ceiling,
yeah,
then you won.
Yeah.
Then you won, because what we've done with this draft is we just added more personnel, more competition to our team, right? And we had this discussion last week about, you know, if you're hoping that the cream rises to the top, well, you gotta cook it up, man. You gotta cook it up, and that only happens with competition. If you don't got the competition to make that boil up and bring that cream to the top, then you just got a bunch of dudes that have potential that ain't doing nothing.
Got it.
Right? So that's how I look at it, man. If we get 2 to 3 guys out of this draft class that hit that high ceiling, and all of them have a really high ceiling, and the rest of the guys maybe are just used as motivation, then we win. If we get a bunch of studs, then we're going to be laughing to the bank and laughing all the way to the Super Bowl.
I like that. I like that. So what was your favorite pick in this draft? Was it Hurst?
I have to say Hurst was my favorite pick because of the positioning, man. You're talking about a guy who was rated to go in the first or second, late first maybe, early second round. We got him in the 5th, yo. Mm-hmm. That's value, right? And for everybody that threw their hands up in the air and maybe cussed out their moms or walked and run out of the house, pissed off, whatever, went to the liquor store and got yourself a 40 to drown your sorrows. After those first couple picks, you have Arden Key, who was first-round talent that we get in the 3rd. And then you got Mo Hurst, who was, you know, one of our guys that you kept talking about. Hopefully we can pick him up in the 2nd. Right. We got him in the 5th. Those are 2 huge value picks, and I think it makes up for all the distress that we went through in the first couple rounds, where we were just kind of like throwing our hands up in the air like, what's this all about, right? And then you go in and you think about the needs of the team, right? And this is where the digestion comes in. You start thinking about the needs of this team. You start thinking about what is really important. We saw what happened when Derek Carr got knocked out in 2016.
Yeah.
We saw what Derek Carr looked like in 2017 with a bunch of injuries. This is something that cannot continue. We cannot continue to have our franchise quarterback either suffering from an injury or recovering from an injury. And the only way you do that is by getting him protection up front. And so if you got to take a leap, you got to take a chance and grab a guy early because there's not a whole lot of linemen in the draft, then you know what? You got to do that, man, because your money's on the line. You're paying your quarterback $10 million every single year to produce, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 10 or 25? Where am I at?
A lot of money.
We're paying him a lot of money. It's $25 million, right? 10 is Gruden, right? It's
Yeah.
$25 million a year.
25, yeah.
$25 million a year to Derek Carr to be our franchise quarterback and lead us to the promised land. He's not going to be able to do that if he can't stand up. All right. So you're going to have to take some chances. You're going to have to go big and possibly miss big. And so from that standpoint, I can't be mad at it, man. And like you said, we added depth at every position of need that we had on this team. So despite the critics, despite what everybody might be saying that's negative, I look at it as a positive. At the end of the day, I digested it. I got all the anger out early on, and I got all the damn it, like we didn't pick the guys that we thought we would.
Right.
But I can't be mad. I can't be mad at it. I think we did a pretty good job of attempting to fill the needs that we have, which was a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Good response there. So lastly, in this segment, this is the real important stuff now. Colton Miller on his Twitter, I believe it was on Twitter account, might have been Facebook. I think it was on Twitter. He said In-N-Out, and mind you, he just got to California. In-N-Out's real average. I want to address this first, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, man.
Because I get where he's coming from. Now, because
In-N-Out, by the way, In-N-Out presents Kenny's Corner. Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
I bet I get a free burger out of this. Flying Dutchman style, if you will. I'm on that keto diet, so
there you go.
I get the In-N-Out criticism. Okay, now there's a lot of burger franchises out there that get a lot of hype. There's Five Guys. There's Whataburger, which I personally think is trash. There's Steak and Shake, which I haven't tried. There's a lot of spots out there. There's Fat Burger, which is pretty good.
In Vegas, you had a long night in Vegas.
That's right.
Fat Burger's the shit.
Yeah, that's goddamn right. Sorry, I just called hunky. So the thing is there's a lot of hype around In-N-Out Burger. People from California, now neighboring states that are getting In-N-Outs, they're always raving about In-N-Out Burger. You see the lines through the drive-thru, and you think this has to be earth-shattering. This has to be a transformational burger. And the bottom line is, it's not. But it's like a $3.50 burger. It's fresh. It's got its own unique taste. You may try an In-N-Out Burger the first time and think, not such a big deal. It's not bad, though. You got to admit it's good. But you're going to find yourself craving that burger down the line.
Yeah. You're going to be like, oh, In-N-Out sounds pretty good right about now.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, In-N-Out sounding pretty good right about now, man, to me.
There's been several times you've hit the In-N-Out on the way out of here.
Yeah, of course. Because first of all, I don't have an In-N-Out in my town.
Yeah.
So before I leave your town, I'm like, this is an In-N-Out right down the street. I got to go over there and get myself a burger.
To be fair, it's not right down the street.
It's not down the street.
It's literally on the opposite side of town.
It's a few blocks away. It's a few blocks away. So yeah, thanks for letting everybody know what kind of fat boy I am, and I'm willing to go the distance for these In-N-Out burgers. But yeah.
No, but you're not the only one, man.
Hell no.
People travel distances to see In-N-Outs now. But I mean, they're becoming more and more common. They're popping up around. But In-N-Out's an interesting establishment, and maybe somebody needs to hold his hand a little bit, because I have a feeling he doesn't know about the secret menu. And if you haven't ordered a burger animal style, you definitely don't get the hype. Where are you at? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, let's just look at it from his perspective. Okay, Cole Miller is a big dude. He's 6'9", 305 pounds, and maybe that's just the problem. right? Maybe he's looking at the menu. They got 3 options on the menu.
Yeah.
Since he's not a Cali boy, he's not maybe Northern Cal. Well, they got In-N-Outs in Southern California. Wait a minute, man. We're giving him too much props right now.
You think so?
He was in UCLA, bro.
I don't know what's up then. I don't know what's up.
Anyways, I was just gonna say this.
Maybe that was a tweet.
I was defending him. But maybe his thing is that he's not aware as everybody else is about the unlabeled menu. Yeah. Right? The secret menu, as you will, where you can order a 4x4.
Yeah.
You can get your big boy home. Okay, so Cole Miller. Maybe that's your problem, bro. You just need to go with a friend that knows what they're doing when they're ordering. Let your homie order you a burger.
Yeah.
A good 6'9", 305-pound size burger. And then maybe you leave In-N-Out a little bit more happy, man. Maybe you'd be like, you know what? In-N-Out's is shit.
Because nobody goes to White Castle and orders 1 burger.
Well, there you go, right?
They get 20 burgers.
You're going to be really disappointed. You're like, what's this little thing? This little slider. God.
If anybody's going to put him up on game, it's got to be Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin, get your boy back to In-N-Out. Put him up on game. Give him the animal style. Where are you at on the In-N-Out fries? That's a very polarizing topic.
You know what? I like the animal. I like the animal style fries.
Yeah, don't be getting the enema style.
No, not
fries.
not the enema style. Animal style. I like animal style fries. I like animal style burger. But you know what? I'm all right with the regular fries too. I like them all natural. Just put a little ketchup on it. It's all good.
I get the fries well done, animal style.
That's good.
How about that?
That crunchiness. You need that crunch.
Now I feel like in Ohio they got enema style tacos. Probably just kind of wrap that up.
Put a bow on it. You put a bow on that.
All right, so it's time for the I See You segment.
I see you.
Way to come off the drink of water with that, too, by the way. So we got a couple questions here. So the I See You segment now. Focus on the YouTube chat section. We got a live chat going on. We got 2 questions. We're going to address those right now. We got Don from Queens. Don wants to know which running back gets waived. And with the running backs that do get waived, who gets picked up? That's a good question. I got a feeling. A lot of running backs on the roster right now, right? You got Marshawn Lynch. You got Elijah Hood. You got DeAndre Washington. You got Jalen Richard. You got Doug Martin. I got a feeling Doug Martin's going to get waived. I don't think he gets picked up. I also got a feeling that Richard's going to get waived. I think he will get picked up. I think he flashed enough 2 years ago that someone's going to give him a shot. I kind of feel like the fumbles last year were a bit of an aberration. The whole team was a bit shaky. But if I had to put my money on 2 guys to get dropped, it's those 2. But now I'm looking at it again. Elijah Hood, we didn't see that kid at all last year. I want to see him because I like the way he's built. I'm also a big DeAndre Washington fan because I also like the way he's built. I like his stature. He's small, but muscular. I think he shows he's really, how do I put it? He fights hard. He plays a lot bigger than his size. So maybe that's just my own biased personal opinion. I want to see Washington stick. Richard, the pocket rocket, I think he goes just because of his fumbles. But that's where I'm at. What do you think? I mean, are you in agreement? Is there another name out there you say gets cut? Hood's probably likely. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call. You know what? I think we really need to see what's going to happen here in these next couple months as far as these summer practices go and heading into camp. We don't really know. No one's really said anything about Doug Martin. I haven't heard anything about Doug Martin. We've heard about Marshawn Lynch, and he looks like he's in great shape, like he's ready to go, and he's back to 100%, all that good stuff, right? We've heard about him. But other than him, we're not really hearing about the other backs. So we have last year to go off of. And 2 years ago, like you said, Richard had a breakout season. You got to remember this guy was undrafted, free agent, that just jumped out of nowhere. And he was arguably the star of the show, man. As far as the backfield went, he was arguably the star of the show because he was breaking some big plays for us. He has that potential, and I think maybe because of his value, one being an undrafted free agent, and because of his big play potential that we saw in 2016, maybe he's the guy that sticks because of that, because of the low price, high ceiling, if you will.
Right. Okay. I like that. Last question here from Big Ted. Do we keep more than 2 QBs? What happens to Connor Cook if he doesn't win the backup spot? Yeah, we do keep more than two QBs. We're going to keep Manuel, and we are going to keep Connor Cook. If you watch the QB cam, Gruden seems to be high on Connor Cook, and whether that's for TV or not, I'm not sure. But I think it makes sense to keep all three, considering the offensive line, still a lot of questions whether these guys pan out. Derek Carr's history getting hurt. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It does. It makes sense to me. Makes sense to me to keep. I mean, what are you going to do? We've already been through these last couple of years of having an injury with Carr. Obviously, we don't look forward to that. We're not even trying to even think about that, right? Keep that bad luck, that bad mojo off the field, and keep that away from Derek Carr. But obviously, the need to have some guys there in case that kind of stuff does happen. So if you're just out there with one guy, let's say there's a long-term injury, obviously, knock on wood that it doesn't happen.
That's particle board.
Particle board, whatever we. I'm gonna knock on some wood. I'm gonna go outside and knock on a tree after this show. But knock on wood that doesn't happen. But if that happens, then you just have EJ Manuel and you don't have a backup to him.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
No.
So you have to have 2 guys behind Derek Carr. Yeah.
All right. And lastly, Ice Cold Honky coming in here at the 11th hour. Why is no one talking about Colton Miller playing in the same pro-style offense that made Rosen the most NFL QB draft? This makes for NFL blocking schemes. The real question is, do you speak English? I'm just going to leave that right there.
You know what? We could decipher that, though, a little bit for him. We were just saying Rosen was coming out thought of as the most NFL-ready quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. In some people's eyes. Other people didn't agree with that.
I thought
Darnold on there or whatever. So maybe that's what he's referring to. But
I don't know.
But I don't know how to take your questions, Honky, because you be coming out the woodworks with all the nonsense anyway. So I don't know how serious you are. Maybe you're just trying to get a laugh out of us.
Yeah,
hearing us defend it.
Go back to your coloring books, Doc. All right, let's do some shout-outs, yeah?
Shout-outs!
Shout out to Freelance Fowler, Oaktown 301, Luis Valenzuela.
Yeah.
And longtime listener, Zach Scott. So when we started the shout-outs recently, we kind of switched it up to recent followers on social media. And by that time, Zach had already been following us. So he hit us up today. That's a reset because you deserve it, Zach. Shout out to you. Shout out to Nicholas Gunn, my cousin out there. He's a fantastic chef. Follow him on Twitter. And if he's in your area, make sure you go find out where he's cooking because he learned from some of the best in my family. Shout out to Night Raider. Shout out to Moses, Bartimus, Allison FM, J. Chuck Mullaney, Raider Loyalty, These Guys Podcast, which is a pretty cool podcast. Just 3 guys. It's an NFL podcast. One of them's a Raider fan. Check them out. Shout out to Gary Rinaldi, 65, Raiders 1, Duke Silver and Black 9, Jose Tapia, Hector Perez, WV Raider, Jado, Gatormouth Johnny Black, Jerry Neal, Manny D, Brian Boone, Sarge 1195. Shout out to Marley O'Brien, G-Man of the East, Dustin, Roscoe, P, Coltrane.
Yeah.
And Howie G44 on Twitter.
I like it, dude. I like it. Roscoe P, Coltrane.
I had that in there, but
that's IG shout outs. We got fave shots. We have Raiders fan zone. Sorry.
Raider fan zone.
Raiders fan zone. You confused me with the 4 for the A. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Linnell 02. We got the real Norris Lee. And last but not least, JVZ. Thank you guys for the follows, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last question. You said Don Day was saying he was watching the 2000 year. He thinks this year will mirror it. Your thoughts? I don't know if you mean by results, win-loss, or if you're talking about play calling. If you're talking about play calling, it won't, man. This is going to be a brand new playbook. Don't read into the John Gruden taking it back to 98. That's not what's going on. This is going to be revamped. This is a different team. John didn't coach the same way in Tampa that he coached in Oakland originally, so I don't think this is going to be similar. I think it's going to be very different. Ice Cold Honky giving me the middle finger finger emoji. We love you too. And that's
Hey,
it.
I don't know where that finger's been, bro. Put it away.
Anyways, that's it for this week's show. Tune in every week wherever podcasts are found. And if you can't find it, go download the official Pillaging app available for iOS and Android. They're on your app store. It's a great way to find the show, listen to all the archived episodes. If we got bonus content, it's going to go to the app exclusively. You can also go to the website, read the articles when they start popping up, get into the comments section at the website. It also has the phone number. You can call us directly from the app. It's got our Twitter. It's got our Instagram. It's got our email. So send the hate mail, all that, straight from the app. Ice Cold Honky's downloading it right now. Make sure you go over to pj4f.com/shop. Get dipped in some fresh Pillaging gear.
Yeah.
Get your t-shirt, get your coffee mug, get all that stuff. Rep your favorite podcast. Rep Raider Nation. And I'm Kenny Stapler, joined as always
by your boy Jay.
And we out here.
Peace.
Go Raiders.
Touchdown!